HealthTrack is the nation's premier molecular testing laboratory for infectious diseases, dedicated to delivering next morning PCR results that empower providers and communities to be able to make timely and precise treatment decisions. With me is the CEO, Martin Price, to talk about the company, and you're really breaking the cycle, it sounds like, of kind of overprescribing of antibiotics. Would you say your main mission, or what is your main mission?
That really is the problem statement that our company exists to solve. Today, the way most people experience infectious disease detection and therapy is they have symptoms, they go to a doctor's office. Doctor has really limited tools on how they can diagnose those symptoms in the office. So they write a 14-day script, a 10-day script of a common antibiotic. And in practice, about a third of the time, that antibiotic isn't needed. And about a third of the time, when an antibiotic would be effective for the infection, they prescribe the wrong one. And so our mission as a company is, how do we put better tools in physicians' hands quickly so they can get patients on the right therapy faster?
Okay. So that's clearly a problem now. I mean, there's medicine being prescribed that doesn't need to be. It may not even be the right one, but you're solving this problem. How? How does HealthTrack work?
So if you were to walk into local urgent care or pediatric physician office today with symptoms of an infection, physician will take a swab. It could be in your nose, it could be your mouth, it could be urinary tract, it could be STI, it could be a wound that's not healing properly. Swab it, put it in a tube. UPS will pick it up at the end of the day, deliver it to one of our laboratories, and the next morning, your physician will have a full picture of what are the pathogens. It could be a bacteria, it could be a parasite, it could be a virus. What do you have? And more importantly, what do you need to get better? And by being able to deliver a result the next morning, we can get patients on the right therapy immediately.
Yeah.
And so they're not 4, 5, 7 days into an antibiotic cycle before they realize this isn't really working. And then they go back to the physician office. And the only tool physician has traditionally had to get actual testing is to send out for a culture. And that's been the standard practice for 250 years in infectious disease. But you're literally culturing a sample and waiting for it to grow. And some will grow quickly, 2 to 3 days. Some can take 14 days to grow. With PCR testing, you know right away. It's a several-hour process. So by the next morning, you can have a definitive answer. What do I have? How do I get better?
And that makes such a difference in terms of the patient treatment and recovery and the doctor's time and everything. I mean, it's just a game changer.
It's game-changing, not just for the patient, but for their community that is caring for them, that's depending on them. It's a parent taking a child to a pediatric office and then wondering if they can go to school, and the parent wondering if they can go to work, or it's taking a parent who may be in nursing home or may not be able to drive to the hospital or to the doctor's office, and watching that patient suffer needlessly because they don't have the right therapy in hand. And for 99% of these common infections out there, there is an antibiotic or antiviral that will get them better. Or they don't need one, and they just need the confidence to know that if I wait 2 or 3 days, I'm going to be better.
Okay. You mentioned PCR tests. So the first time I remember hearing that was COVID. It probably has been around for a while, but that was was it COVID that kind of gave you an idea or, led to your vision to start this business?
COVID had a huge impact on our business, but we were actually doing this before COVID. The challenge was exactly the one you described, which is we would present our solution to physicians and walk to the front door and say, we'd like to talk to you about polymerase chain reaction diagnostics. And they would have very little idea what we were talking about. Post-COVID, PCR became common vernacular, and people associate that with speed and accuracy. And so it's become now when folks have symptoms of an infection, particularly a respiratory infection, they know to ask for a PCR test. They know there's better testing out there. The exact details they may not know, and what HealthTrack offers versus someone else. But they know what PCR is, and they know it is associated with accuracy and speed.
How are you able to do this so quickly and accurately?
What we have been working on is to fine-tune the logistics piece. Testing, molecular testing and PCR testing has gone on for 25 years. That's not new science. Automating a large-scale platform for high throughput, that's a little bit of the secret sauce that we do in our laboratory, but by and large, a PCR test is a PCR test. It's the logistics apparatus that's taken us several years to perfect. And so what we do is through a partnership with UPS Healthcare, today at about 5,000 clinics around the country, UPS will one of their drivers will go by at the end of the day, collect a specimen. They will fly it to their world hub in Louisville, deliver it to us between midnight and 1 a.m., and we begin our testing overnight. So we are a fully overnight laboratory. So we start around midnight. And so working from East Coast to West Coast, we are delivering results by 9 a.m. or the next morning for physicians. So by the time they arrive and begin looking at their lab results from prior day, they have the results waiting, engage with the patient, get them on the right therapy.
Really interesting. I'm just thinking of the hours you must save by being on the Worldport hub. I mean, rather than somebody has to drive it somewhere and...
Well, and previously, our lab began in Texas. We were in Dallas. And so all the samples were flown centrally from East and West Coast to our facility in Dallas. But if you're not receiving samples until 8, 9, 10 o'clock in the morning, you're really racing the clock to try to turn a result even just the next day. And even if you're able to get a result out by, call it 5, 6 p.m., most physicians are dealing with patient inflow at the end of the day. It's crowded. They're not reviewing lab results, and they may not have the time that day to then reach back out to a patient and say, here's your result from yesterday or from 2 days ago. The move to Louisville and the work with UPS Healthcare has allowed us to really deliver that same consistent next morning result to every zip code in the U.S.
Interesting. And then finally talk about the future, your strategy. What are you looking at for the next 12 to 18 months?
For us, it's really about expansion of what we do and trying to change the paradigm that we talked about at the beginning. Today, in 90% of the clinics that folks are going to walk into today, they're going to be handed a prescription without a test. We need to change that standard of care. The expectation in the U.S. in 2025 and 2026 should be, I should know what I have and what I need to get better. And today that's not happening. Now, there's lots of other things we can put into our platform. Allergy testing, blood testing, lots of other things where speed to result matters. But today, with this new platform that we've launched in Louisville, we're really able to drive changing the standard of care, changing the way patients, physicians think about, what are the tools available to me to solve this problem? And as we begin to drive adoption and people say, and come to expect, I expect an answer. I don't want to take an antibiotic and hope I get better. And if we can start making inroads in that over the next 12 to 18 months, there'll be a tipping point where that really does become the expectation. Again, whether you're going to a concierge medicine practice here in Manhattan or in a rural underserved market, that same quality of healthcare should be available to you.
Okay. Thank you so much for coming and explaining the company.
Great to be with you, Jane.